Hi, my name is Henrik Enström. In this video I will go through how to create your own free codes, meaning for example exercises or even challenges. But in the video I will only do an overview and then I will go into more detail in later videos. So I'm logged into my account here on futureskill.com. I go to exercises where we see all the available exercises, and then here you find the create button. So I press that one, and then I'm in this view where I have like a listing of my own free codes, meaning exercises and challenges, but also public ones that I can copy from. So if I press public free code here, I will also see other available free codes. I can deselect and go for exercises, and here for example is tic-tac-toe, which is a published exercise, and I can both copy it to start my own copy, which we'll try here, or I can go in and edit, meaning I will actually see that I think you will see a view because I'm the owner here, so I'll see edit, but you can also view the implementation without actually copying it. So I'll copy that one, and then I get this interface here, which is very similar to the one we saw in previous videos, where you as a user solve an exercise, but we have some extra things here. You will see there are two tabs here for the descriptions, and there are a lot of extra tabs here to the right, where you can actually do the implementation, define the exercise. So I go through them here. You can start by giving it a name. Yeah, this is actually a tic-tac-toe copy I'm doing, so let's call it that. That's the title. This description is to entice participants, as it says here. If I click it, I go into editor mode. I can edit the text. It's like a rich text interface. I can also upload images and do various things here with bullets and stuff. But this part is meant to, the description is meant, that's the first thing you see, which will hopefully make the user want to go in and solve the exercise. And then if I go to editor description, that's where you have to have all the information on the exercise. The API description, the different levels. You can actually use markup here to show only the level that you're solving currently. But here all the three levels are given at once. And also it's good to use, if you have a graphical canvas like I have down here, it's good to describe it in some more detail. For example, here I'm showing the indexes of the various parts of the canvas that you can use here, and even more descriptions here. So this one is done in a lot of detail, which is good actually. Yeah. Down here we see this one is very similar to what you see as an exercise solver as a normal user, so you can try out your own implementation here. Down to the right here, also very similar to what you see when you solve someone else's exercise. You get console output. You can see the score. If you have solved it correctly, you get, for example, 10 out of 10 here. And run code, also very similar to before. The top buttons here are a bit similar, but we have also a help wiki. So if I press that one, we get into this wiki, which describes a lot of the things that I'm going through now. So please go and visit that. And then we have the level selector. You can actually do export to a zip file and then also import from such a zip file here, which is useful if you, for example, want to save it on your own laptop or send it to a friend or something like that. We can save whatever work we have done, and then when I'm happy about this exercise, I can publish it here. Or I can also archive it, so if I don't want to continue with it. So then all the tabs here, that is basically the major part of where you create an exercise or challenge. So the implementation tab, well, that's the major editor for Python code where you define the exercise, and that I will go through in a later video. But I can mention that you have to use Python, so if you don't want to do that, then it's a problem, because right now we only support Python for creating exercises. However, when you take an exercise as a user, then you can use all the popular programming languages. So that's something to think about. The solution tab, that's actually where it's very similar again to where you as a user solve the exercise. So this is basically mimicking being a user and solving your own exercise that you're implementing in the implementation tab. So you're acting as a user here. And here it's very useful, as you can see here, to try both incorrect answers and correct answers and see that, well, the output, the scoring is correct, also how the canvas behaves is correct, both for correct and incorrect solutions. Then we have the API tab, and here we can both add implementation APIs. This means anything that we define here are things that, well, if I press it, you will see something like this: method name and description, input parameters, and return type. So this is the form for defining implementation method or API, implementation API. And if you do so, we can try a test one here, which has not much in it. Then that will be added to the bottom of this implementation tab here, and you will have to define it here. So this is meant, for example, to allow the user, the exercise solver, to fetch data, for example, and then you will implement however you want to give that data to the user here. So that's the implementation API. Whereas if you do a solution API, which you see examples of here, for example, the different levels that you are to solve, those go into here. And again, you give it a method name using spaces between the words so that it can be turned by the system into all the different languages. For example, Python would use underscores between the words, some other languages use camel case and so forth. Then we have the description, which will also end up in the code that the user sees when they solve the exercise. We can have an input parameter. So here we have board, which is a list of strings, the one we saw a description of here in the description field, and a return type, which is a string in this case. So the method name here was level 1 middle square, and we will see the same in this preview tab, which is basically showing you the skeleton code that you get for the different languages. And you will see it here, for example, is how it appears in C#, and it will look different, of course, in the different languages. So that is what the API tab is for, defining methods that the user should be able to call and methods that the user should define. For example, the obvious one is to solve a level, like level 1, 2, 3 here. So then we have the graphics tab. Here, if I deselect, we don't use a canvas, then we only use, for example, text in, text out to show the feedback to the user in the console, in the text console. But if I want to use a canvas, then we get this graphical part down here to the left. Here we can have a static canvas, or we can do animation canvas. Then we get the step time as well. So we have some, if the movie, so to say, is quick or slow, we can set with the step time. And that also allows us to use steps in the graphics here, and actually becomes like a video that you can play down here. Human input, that gives you the interact button. This, for example, this exercise uses interact, so you can create your own test cases and see if you solve this tic-tac-toe problem correctly. So that supports then buttons in the canvas, which we'll go through later. And human input using human adapter, well, that is for certain challenges, not something you have to worry about. You can upload images here using the plus button to upload things from your laptop. And here are the ones that we are using now for this exercise. You can set the default background color to white here, for example, and the resolution here is the canvas width and height. So 20 units wide and 10 units high is what I've gone for here. So this is just for internal representation. How you in the implementation put things will be governed by the width and the height here. So width is the x value starting from 0 to the left and the 20 to the right in this case. And y will start at the top with 0 at the top and 10 in this case at the bottom here. So if I hold the mouse button here, roughly, maybe that would be x equals 5 and y equals 5 also. Okay, so going further to settings. Okay, here you set the number of levels that you want. This one uses 3 levels. The executor version is just an internal thing you don't have to care about. Then you can allow others to copy your free code, like I just did here, which is a nice thing. And you can also choose if the solution should be public or not. So if you have a correct solution with your free code, with your exercise, then probably uncheck this one, because otherwise it's possible for users to see the correct solution by going to, well, the way we did now, to go into the exercise, and maybe you don't want that. You want them to find the solution themselves. So then you can uncheck this one to make it non-public. Preview we looked at, you don't input anything here. This is just for information purposes, so you see how the skeleton code looks for all the different languages that we support. So there are a lot of text here. And then we have the landing page where you can upload an image to show basically, well, also to make the exercise look good basically. So that's a quick overview, and many of the things that you have to do happen here in the implementation tab, which we'll go through in later videos. Thank you very much for watching.